Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, welcome to Liberated Sisters. I'm your host and producer, Sister Charlene Muhammad, and we have a very special show today. Thank you so much to the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network for allowing us to share on the network. Tonight, our guest, Brother Sultan, our special co-host, and I, we're going to welcome Brother Arvence Muhammad, who promised to come back, and he is back with us to talk about the reality of the wills, as well as it was a great idea by Brother Sultan, and our brother was available to join the dialogue as well. Brother Ilia Rashad Muhammad is going to be with us tonight. We'll tell you a little bit more about them as we get further into the show, but I just wanted to give a few opening remarks and thank you all for joining us, and also encourage you to put your questions, any comments for them in the chat. And so, well, I guess I'll introduce them now, and then when they come on, if they want to share anything more, and Brother Sultan can as well. But Brother Arvence Muhammad is a member of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's executive security team and one of his drivers. Brother Arvence is also an artist, among many other things. He does rap. And also, Brother Ilia Rashad, who also serves as a member of the Nation of Islam research team, along with Brother Sultan, who will be joining us shortly, both of them. Brother Ilia Rashad Muhammad is the producer of the documentary Answered and author of UFOs and the Nation of Islam, The Source, Proof, and Reality of the Wills. One thing about tonight's show and why we wanted them to come on and dialogue is that this special presentation is, while we are yet still commemorating the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's More Than a Vision-like experience on the Mother Will on September 17, 1985. The minister made the announcement of his experience on October 24th, 1989, and he said that this is a quote, President Reagan has met with the Joint Chiefs of Staff to plan a war. I want you to hold a press conference in Washington, D.C., and announce their plan and say to the world that you got the information from me, Elijah Muhammad, on the will, unquote. Minister Farrakhan went on to cite, and I found it was just so profound. He went on to cite the many crimes that the United States had already been committing against the original man within its borders, but also plans that the U.S. has had for particularly Black youth and the Nation of Islam, and also political leaders. The announcement by Minister Farrakhan was extensive. It was a warning that we can bear witness. Just look around. It has literally been playing out exactly as the minister issued it, as he got it from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was a final warning to them, to America, and America has not heeded the warning. However, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said during his announcement, before they could make mockery of him, they would see these wills, or as they called them then, UFOs, in abundance over the major cities of America. Also, Minister Farrakhan said the calamities that America was experiencing would increase. Now, these are just some remarks that I wanted to share for part of the purpose of us being here tonight to discuss the reality of the wills and connection to Allah God as well as to ourselves. And so I would like to open it up now to our brother Arvence Muhammad as we await our other guests to join us. Here's our Brother Arvence. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
I'm doing very good, my brother. How about yourself?
Doing great, excited.
Yeah, isn't this going to be so exciting? Brother Sultan, after the last show, when I reminded everyone that inshallah you would be back with us, he said we should invite Brother Ilia on. I was like, hurry. And so this is so exciting to have you both together, and I can't wait. I'm going to just sit back and do all I can to listen. But Brother Arvence, let's get your remarks about, this time period that we're in right now. We just commemorated the anniversary, and we still are in it, because this is a major announcement that is unfolding today.
Yes. So, I mean, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan constantly reminding all of us of his soon departure. And if you study, it's in the scripture. And everything that he has been doing has been following scripture and revealing itself in real time. So, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan recently said about a week ago, maybe a little bit more than a week ago, he mentioned the wisdom that he will have on his return from the wheel after his 3 years of absence from us being on the wheel. He said that new wisdom that he will be having to share with us, he said only 15 minutes of teaching of it would be it. You only need 15 minutes of it. Now the minister said you can't believe that, because he said that he's long-winded and he teaches for hours. But he said when he come back from the wheel, the new wisdom that he will be having, he said you will only need to hear 15 minutes of it, and that'll be it. He said that's all you will need. So the minister said that he will teach us that new wisdom for 15 minutes, and that's it. You don't need to teach a long time, and that'll be it. And that new book of wisdom is not going to be a thick book. He said it's going to be a real thin book. It's going to be a real thin book. He said it's going to be a really thin book. It's not going to need to be a thick book, because the new wisdom that's in that, we're not going to need a lot of it to do what we're supposed to do, to take it to the next level. Whatever level that is, I mean, it's got to be something. If the book is going to be that thin, and we're only going to need to have 15 minutes of it coming from his mouth. Just imagine if you go to Savior's Day, the minister mounts the stage, the first 15 minutes he's teaching, it's over. Assalamu alaikum. Just imagine, you'd be like, what? You just started, right? But this time, this new wisdom that he will be having, that he said will be the guidance for the rest of the people on the planet for the next 10,000 years. He said the last 10,000 years of this cycle of time that we're living in, you're not going to need a lot. You're not going to need a lot of it. So 15 minutes, I mean, I want to hear that. So, we're taught that in this time, only our righteousness will sustain us. So do your best to clean up your life, your personal life, clean up your relationship with Allah, because you want to be here to receive the Messiah on his return. You want to be here. I want to be here. I pray that we're all here, all of the believers. I mean, it's time, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about the chastisement that'll come after he leaves. He said Allah's not going to waste no time as soon as he leaves. So it's serious. And I mean, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan mentions a lot of this before, but a lot of things that he mentioned, he doesn't say it on the roster. I mean, he goes deeper into it, and myself and a few others may be blessed to be right there to hear it, so, and he instructed us to tell others exactly what he said, what we can share. He said, say it just like he said it. That was an instruction. He said he wants us to. He said, get it off of us. Because he said the people that will hear his word, it will help them and guide them. And, unless we share it with those who are not around him, like we're blessed to be around him, then they won't hear it. And, we can't hold people away from the guidance and the wisdom of Allah that saved their life. We're not worthy of that.
Wow, Brother Arvence, thank you for your opening remarks. So much already in just what you stated. And yes, I was, you caught me with that. I was in mid prayer, like, yes, we want to be here. We have something to do. And when I think about how thin you're saying it is, and he has said it is, I think about the supreme wisdom and how I'm still working to master that, to even understand, much less master. So thank you for that. Everyone is here. Thank you all for tuning in. Continue to spread the word. This is unprecedented. This is a treat. We have two I think expert is not the right word, but that's the word I have in front of me right now to describe these two brothers. And look, our special co-host has not even arrived yet, so this is a major panel tonight where you can get your questions answered. These brothers are with Minister Farrakhan, as Brother Arvence just said. They've been instructed to tell what they know. If you have questions, what have you been experiencing? Ask them. They're here for you. Now we're going to bring into the dialogue Brother Arvence and viewing and listening audience, Brother Student Minister Ilia Rashad Muhammad. I wish I had these effects that they have on TV and places, but Brother Ilia Rashad, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, Sister Charlene, and my big brother Arvence, and to all of those in the listening audience. I'm glad to be able to be here to have such a worthy discussion and to be with my brother, who I think we try to practice tuning in with each other when we don't get to talk, but I'm just happy to be here. Appreciate you for having me.
Wow, all praises due to Allah. As I've shared, Brother Sultan, I'm just so overwhelmed. His idea, and it was like, yes, let's do it. And so, what I want to do is just, get your opening remarks, Brother Ilia, and I want you two to just dialogue, like what you've been wanting to kind of be on the same stage, if you will, I would say platform, but you're here now, so I want to see you two have a Q&A. Of each other, and then of course we'll facilitate what's coming from the audience, and Brother Sultan definitely will have his remarks and his commentary and his questions as well. But I'm going to jump on out, and Brother Ilia, give your remarks, and let's hear from both of you first.
Certainly. And thank you again, Sister Charlene. Of course, I'm super honored to be able to be here to discuss what I believe is perhaps the worthiest subject that could be discussed right about now, because when we're dealing with the wheel, the baby planes, these so-called UFOs, you're not just dealing with some unknown crafts, but you are dealing with objects that are proof of the presence of God. So I don't think there's really too many more subjects that we could be discussing that's more important than that. What's more important than the fact that God came for his people? What's more important than the fact that the real God came just like he said he would in all the scriptures as a living man to his lost people in the heart of the earth? I mean, what could be more important than the fact that this God has actually brought proof of his supremacy, proof of his greatness, proof of his presence, proof of his superiority over all of the militaries, governments, and wisdom of this world? What could be more important than the fact that this God brought all this artillery, this technology for you and me, his people, that he has come to reclaim? So you wonder why Brother Arvence and I and others seem to be so adamant about topics like this. It is because we know that at the root of this topic of the wheels, you're dealing with the reality of God who is present. And I think that we as a people, I think that the country, the world, we would be foolish and negligent not to take advantage of and stand with the representative of that power, which is represented by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, and to follow the guidance and the solutions that that power that they call UFOs represents, which is the power of God. So I don't want to start preaching as an opening words, but y'all started it. Brother Arvence started it, talking about this wisdom that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan has been sharing and will share when he come, man, please.
That's right.
Y'all done already started this thing off.
Yeah, Brother Arvence went, pew, just like a wheel right into it. No, but thank you, brother, student minister Ilia. Preach on if that's what you feel you must do. However, we get the message across. And look,
Yeah.
our big brother Sultan Muhammad is with us right now. His idea to add you, brother Ilia, and we're so excited. We have a lot of people viewing already, commenting. So, brother, thank you for your remarks, brother Sultan. Let's get your opening remarks, and then we're going to get into the Q&A.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to see the three faces that I see.
Alhamdulillah.
And I have to say, you'll have to forgive me. I'm traveling, and I have made the best of this room that I can in being seen. And just before I went on, the lamp fell. So,
You look great. It's all
let
great.
me say, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, who came in the person. As I came in on the end of my brother Ilia, I heard him talking about the person of God, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, and who raised from among us a man with only a third grade education, for which we are now 93 years into a teaching that is invincible, that cannot be refuted, that the enemy makes their little remarks and run, but they won't stay for a minute to argue what they have said, what they have offered, which is amounted to nothing with respect to what this man with only a third grade education, who says he was taught by God. And as he told in one of his interviews, as a matter of fact, it was Chicago, and Kupsanek, he said, I understand that you say you were taught by God. He said, well, if it was not God, if he was not God, he's greater than the God you know. But one of the most interesting, my opening, this one of the most interesting things about what he said was, he said, he asked him that if his mission was to resurrect the dead. Then Mr. Kupsanek said, he said, your mission is to resurrect the dead. He said, don't you find that like trying to put pants on, isn't that like trying to put pants on an elephant? What made it so interesting is, Mr. Kupsanek didn't say, well, no, what do you mean by raising the dead? Well, I mean, what does that mean? I don't understand that. Mr. Kupsanek knew what it meant and then said, isn't that like trying to put pants on an elephant? Now, most of us, when we heard it, we didn't know what they were talking about. But then, of course, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, oh, I already have one leg in. Well, I'm talking about that man that was raised to bring to us this invincible teaching. And then, I want you to look at this. Master Farad Muhammad leaves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has to almost start again. Look what he did. Then another man is made. He has this man to take his place. It's in both Bible and Quran. Because no one knew what the world was 2,000 years ago, 5,000. We can't call that the world. They couldn't communicate 70 miles. They couldn't communicate 2 miles, except you yelled at that time. And that man who has articulated perfectly, perfect enough for us anyway, those teaching, and has produced such great scholars as the three scholars that we are in front of today. I'm saying the three scholars. Why do I say the three scholars? Who could be a greater scholar than scholars of God? There are no greater scholars on this earth. Now, this is me saying that. There are no scholars. except they are students of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because they are the only students who have an invincible knowledge that no one can deny. You can deny it, but you can't defeat it. And if you think you can defeat it, then please just answer what has been asked for almost 93 years now. Bring what you got. So I'd like to greet all of you, all of the students, all of the future students of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and those greetings of great peace in our language, the oldest language on the planet that people speak around us every day, and we don't even know it's our language.
Mm-hmm.
But since we don't know the language of Arabic yet, most of us, we know English. I'm going to say Assalamu alaikum and say it. What does it mean? Peace be unto you. I think that's what our brother said about 2,000 years ago all the time. He just said it in the language that existed. There was no English language then. So now, with that little bit, I only want to say that I had a very interesting experience. Am I still in my opening statement and then I'm finished?
You got it, Brother Sultan. I was going to say the first question is going to go to you, because there's so much engagement in the chat. I want to make sure you all are aware of what they're putting there. And then, oh, by the way, Brother Arvence has sent me some photos. Oh my God. So no, you go ahead, Brother Sultan, take it away.
Okay. So all I want to say is this, because I want to go into something that's called the mother plane, which was all the sayings of which, of course, our brother Ilia can go into that and more. But it was interesting this morning because in the Uber on the way to the airport, a young white man took us to the airport. And I just eased in on a couple of questions, that I was asking him. And so I want to read something from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Then I want to tell you what this man said, or I will tell you what the man said. Let me tell you what the man said first. What he said was, I was asking him about what he thought, what the problems are, what was going on. And I asked him, what did he think if the presidents could solve this or that or the other, or the governors or whatever. And I said, suppose that they have us all going against each other. It's got everybody divided. I said, black people, we divided from you. You divided from us. Then you divided into greater sections and smaller and smaller and smaller, because I was after something. And I said, what would you like? What do you think about what's going on today? He said, I'm not making the money I was making before. I'm not sure about my job. I'm not sure about the future. I don't know what's going on. He said it's really kind of scary. So this is where I want to start. So on page 7, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says this. He says with unemployment mounting, he's talking about the end of the war, he's talking about the wheel. He says, with the unemployment mounting so fast, it will create revolution. And everybody will want to divide the government up into pieces, and every leader will want to grab a piece for his part to try to muster some kind of government patterned after his own way of thinking. Desolation. If we are going to suffer deprivation in a country that has been the pride of the nations, this will make it altogether worse. For everybody will be thinking about the way that they used to live and the freedom and the privileges that they used to have. And this will make anger rise in the midst. This is where he was. This is where we are in America today. And I was so happy to be able to be a part of this subject. We had Brother Arvence last week, and then our great brother Ilia, because I believe that there's a balance between the two. With Brother Arvence has seen, and the scholarship of our brother Ilia Rashad. So what I wanted to do, since I have the first question, I wanted to ask Brother Arvence about the last thing we talked about. You were saying that you were glad that I had asked about a particular incident. And then from that, I'd like to hear from Brother Ilia.
Yes, sir. Which incident was it? I can't remember.
This was the incident when the sisters had been out at the farm and the...
Yeah. So that was the first Vanguard retreat that had ever been at the farm. This was many years ago. After all of the sisters left, the minister spoke to all the Vanguard underneath this big tent during the day. After all of the sisters left in the evening, you know, it gets dark outside. Myself and the rest of the FOI were cleaning up, putting up equipment, you know, breaking tents down, all that stuff. So I'm driving one of the golf carts to put them up, you know, and I feel something on the left side of my face, and the thought to look to the left in the sky. I look, and I seen these two red balls of light come up over the trees and stop. So I stopped the golf cart, and I said, "Is that what I think it is?" And as soon as I said, "Is that what I think it is?" another one came up. 1, 2, then another one, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I was like, "Oh, Allah, I already knew that was a baby plane," right? So I called the minister's house, and I said, "Tell the minister to come outside. The baby plane said, hurry up, hurry up." Now, before I called, I stayed there and made sure that it was what I was looking at before I sounded the alarm, because there was still a lot of people there. The minister's whole family was there. A whole lot of security was there. There was still a lot of people there. And I didn't want anyone to feel that I thought I saw something, and, you know, when I get overexcited, everybody knows I see them. So I stopped counting at, I think, 40 before I sounded the alarm, 40 baby planes that came up. And once I started counting, I said, okay, I'm telling the minister, right? So I believe that thought to tell the minister with that kind of energy came from these angels on wheels, because they came to give him a message, and I'm going to explain that. And I called the minister's house. I said, the baby plane said, hurry up, tell the minister, come outside, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I was like, hurry up, tell the minister, hurry up. And so the person who answered the phone was one of his chefs. She said, okay, I'm gonna tell him. Click. She tells the minister, the whole family run outside and run to the fence where, you know, they were coming up from. So they were coming up from this tree line directly across the street from the farm. It wasn't miles and miles away. This was a cornfield across the street from the farm, and at the end of this cornfield was a line of trees, some wood. They were coming up from behind those trees. Where, I don't know, but they were coming up from behind these trees late at night. It was dark outside. So the minister's whole family's outside. I'm out there. They're still coming up. They didn't stop. They're coming up like fireworks. Doing formations, they're coming up like fireworks. And I sent a picture to our Sister Charlene, of the drawing of the formation that they made when everyone went outside to see what I saw, because I sounded the alarm. Then the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadijah came out to watch all of this with us. Now, the amount of witnesses that was there, the minister's whole family, all of this security, then you got the Messiah and his wife right there with us. So, I mean, that was, you can't make this stuff up. So I'm standing behind a big crowd, kind of sort of in between the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the crowd, and we're all watching these wheels. Now, the picture that's up now, this is not what happened on that. Yes, that's the formation. That's the formation that they made in the sky. So when they made this formation, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's on the golf cart, and everybody, all of us, like, they're coming up like fireworks, red balls of light at night over these tree lines. The minister tell all of us, he said, be quiet, be quiet. He said, you don't have to say nothing. Just think it, and they'll hear you. He said, now ask them what it is that you want, and they'll give it to you. And I was like, wow. So all of us got quiet, and I got emotional, and I started sending a thought to them, thanking them for arriving, and I just started praying for all of the believers, the families of the believers, and everybody. I just wanted everybody to be okay. That's all I wanted. And so the minister said, ask them to come closer. And then we was like, please come closer, please come closer, please come closer. Everybody was saying, please come closer. And the two last baby planes that came up over the trees, they stopped. And they started to come closer. Then they just faded out as they got closer. It disappeared right in front of us. So this formation that they made, before everything was over, before the last two came up over the tree line, they all bunched together and made this formation and sat there. Now, this isn't a formation that's like 20, 30, 40 feet tall. This thing was huge, like at least 1,000 feet tall. It was huge, just like to make sure we seen it, right? So I have on video the arrival of these baby planes that night when the minister came out to watch everything with us. But the video footage of this formation that they made, I don't have it, and I'll explain to you why. And the angels on the baby planes did it all. I found out later they did it all. So right before they made this formation, one of the brothers that were there watching this with us, he took off running. He left. And I'm looking at him like, why is he running that way? Everything is right here. Where is he going? So I said, whatever, right? We right there, the minister's right there, Mother Khadijah, everybody. We're focusing on the angels. They're giving the minister a message. So the brother runs back. Who ran off, he runs back. I said, where does he go? And he's like, huh? Like he didn't even leave nowhere. What are you talking about? I said, never mind. And just, all of this is happening, right? So they make this formation and they sit there for a few seconds. They just sit there. And everybody's saying, what are they doing? People started looking at me and I'm like, I don't know. So I turned around and I look at the minister, the Honorable Minister of Farrakhan, to see what is it that he sees, or is he going to say what it is? I don't know. So the minister looks at them and he has this serious look that comes over his face from what he sees, that formation. Then he nodded at them and they broke up and started leaving. And I said, oh, they talking to each other. They talking to each other. And when this whole thing was over, the last two baby planes came up. They came closer, like the minister told us to ask them. After that, they left, right? It was over with. So the minister, Mother Khadijah, they go back in the house. His family, they go back in the house. I'm still excited. I'm just extremely excited. So I run to the camera system because they did all this in front of the minister's security camera. I go to the camera system and I rewind the footage to find the footage. And just before they made this formation, the camera points down to the ground. And I was like, someone has to do that manually. It's not going to do it on its own. So I found out the brother that ran off, he was the one that pointed the camera to the ground and ran back. And he doesn't even know nothing about the cameras. He's not even supposed to be over there or nothing, right? So I'm not going to lie, I went off on the brother. I said, what are you doing? Why did you come in here? Why did you touch it? What are you doing, right? He looked at me and he said, I don't know. I was standing there and something told me to run in here and press the button and run out. I was like, oh, okay, so never mind. You know, I wasn't mad at him no more because I know now that those angels on those wheels in that picture that you see, they're the ones who sent the thought to that brother. They didn't want this on film for some reason. I don't know why, but Allah's the order of the day, not Brother Arvence. So, you know, that's why we don't have the footage of that. But they gave us and allowed us the footage of the second time that they arrived that same night, which was 15 minutes later after all of this.
Wow.
All came back. I'm not talking about 20, 30, 40. I'm talking about literally hundreds of them. Literally. We couldn't even count. It was literally hundreds of them. So the video footage that I have now is of that second coming. I don't have it to show with us today. I didn't get permission from the Honorable Minister of Farrakhan security camera. He had to permit that to be shown. So yes. I do have that footage. And just to watch it again, I watched it like a few days ago. And it was almost like I wasn't there. I was just still shocked that all of this was happening. Like it was something else. And for the Messiah and his wife to be there, it was something. So what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said about their arrival that night, he said that those baby planes that arrived in that formation that they made, he said they were telling him that Allah was pleased with the message that he gave to the vanguard that day. And I was like, wow. That was amazing. So to be there and to receive a message really from heaven to the Messiah, that's really what that was. Wow. You can't make it up. So yes, I mean, and to be used to be that person to give it, that was good. I mean, chills was all over. I was just like,
I've been thinking about this all week, Brother Ilia. I've been thinking about it all week. All week, I've been wanting you to hear what he had to say. Because the work you have done, Brother Ilia, is an excellent work, in my opinion. It is a work of love. And so the two of you back each other. So, Brother Ilia, would you now, I'm sure you made notes that I wanted you to hear it. What did you hear? And what do you have as you have given to us before?
Well, I'm always thankful to hear the awesome testimonies that Brother Arvence has been able to experience and really continues to experience. And this is why, we do talk, and some of that we trying to save for the documentary, but hey, but this is an hour where people need to know.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's really no holding back.
That's right.
By the way,
Allah,
the name of the documentary is Answered.
that's right. And I think appropriately named Answered, because we in the Nation of Islam who follow the Messiah, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, who follow his teacher, who sits in that exalted Christ figure position, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the God that sent him, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. They already gave us the answers to what the world calls the UFO phenomena. And it's almost like we should get tired of telling the world. Well, we shouldn't, but you would think that we would get tired of trying to tell the world, like, look, we have answers. This is almost like the fact that there's a huge, say, court case taking place. There's a big trial taking place. And then in this trial, for some strange reason, they leave out the most credible key eyewitness to this thing. This is how it is when it comes to the talk of UFOs and the Nation of Islam. It is the Nation of Islam that brought you the topic of UFOs. It was the Nation of Islam who answered this phenomena before the world even had questions about it.
That's right.
But now that it seems to be a popular news trend, now that it's a popular topic to discuss in the Congress and in the Senate and all of this, now that the evidence shows and proves that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan have been 1000% correct the entire time. The Nation of Islam has been right and exact this entire time. But now that the evidence is here, it seems like nobody want to talk to us. Here we are with the straight answers, and we, put this out to the scholars and leaders of the world. Like, look, if you want true UFO disclosure, all you have to do is come to us. This thing has been answered before you even had concerns about it. So I said all that, Sister Charlene, to say that's one of the reasons why the documentary series is titled Answered. And we're thankful to have been blessed to release that series, because we think that it is a great testimonial work. It is a great, not just bearing of witness in terms of I believe kind of thing, but it is, as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan told me after he watched it, he referred to it in many respects as the vindication of our nation. The vindication of Master Fard Muhammad as being who he is. The vindication of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the vindication of him. So we're thankful to see that much of our work is being recognized, is being spread. And this is just the beginning of that process. So with the testimonies of Brother Arvence and several others along with the empirical data and just the actual facts that nobody can disprove. You know, when you got this, the bearing of witness and the actual facts, I can see why these folks run away from us and don't want to deal with us. because I mean, we answer something that they act like they have questions about. They act like it's a mystery. They act like it's an unknown phenomena. But look, if they really want the truth, they can just come straight to the Nation of Islam. We'd be more than happy to answer this truth with verity, with facts, not just beliefs. Right. So this is that hour of testimonies. This is that hour to put forth the truth of this thing. And we just excited about it, man. We just want to point the people to the right direction so that they can hear and know the truth instead of thinking it is some doggone green aliens or something, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was going to say the brother, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, let's please thank Allah for him, as we have been doing face to face with the might of God this past Sunday.
Dropping some atomic bombs.
Oh my
gosh.
Yes. You can go to media.noi.org or noi.org. Student Minister Dr. Wesley Muhammad did an excellent presentation that is still being studied, of course, on that. But go ahead, Brother Sultan.
Yes, ma'am. Now, this question I'm going to ask, I'm asking this question more for the audience. I want to do just a little sequence.
Okay, and then after that, we have 5 from them too.
Okay. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Master Fard Muhammad, began to teach in 1930. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad comes September of 1931. From that time, much science is taught, but this science is taught about the wheels. Brother Ilia, just briefly, give us something of that history, as Brother Wesley was talking about, and of course, as you have talked about the arrest of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what they took and what they asked him to explain.
Yes. What you are referring to largely involves that historic incident commonly known as the Battle of Los Angeles. It is this incident that is considered one of, if not the first major encounter with the wheel and the U.S. Armed Forces. This was an incident that took place just over the coast of Los Angeles on February 25th, 1942, the eve of Savior's Day. I guess the God wanted to make a statement, huh?
Yes, sir.
So where this huge object was spotted on radar and was spotted coming just over the coast of Los Angeles, which drew many alarms from the military, considering that this was a war-prone time. America is at odds with Japan. America is at odds with Germany and some of the other foreign nations that they considered adversaries. So this alarmed the armed forces to the point where they, at that time in 1942, attempted to intercept this huge object that was up in the clouds by firing over 1,400 anti-aircraft artillery at this huge object and some other objects that were said to be moving erratically, some smaller objects said to be moving in erratic motions. And with over 1,400 rounds of artillery fired at this object, nothing happened. The object didn't budge. The object didn't move. It was clearly a vastly superior object that alarmed and shook up America's military to the point that after all of that, the object just left off as if to say, man, y'all ain't about nothing. The object just kindly left the spot, really as if to say there's a new, more superior power that's on scene today. It was making a statement, or as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan refers to it, Allah was giving America his calling card, his signature, his stamp to let you know I'm here.
Yes, sir.
So it was after that incident that the U.S. government under President Franklin Roosevelt and General George Marshall, along with U.S. intelligence at that time, underwent investigations and research to try to find out what this anomalous superior object was in the sky. And with all of their research and investigations, they knew that it could not have been a foreign adversary, because if Japan or Germany or any other foreign country had that type of artillery, they could have easily whooped America. They could have easily taken America out because they had never seen nothing that superior before. But all of the government's investigations ultimately led to the only people who were on record for teaching about this huge wheel-shaped object that can fly like this and do all of that. And that's what led them to arrest the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it was then, after that arrest, that the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not just some local police, but the federal government, when they had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad behind closed doors, some of their primary questioning involved his relationship with these crafts that they had just encountered over Los Angeles. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the FBI exactly what they were, and his connection to it and the God that's responsible for it. And ultimately, it is because they did not want this kind of truth and this kind of teaching on the streets that eventually they incarcerated the Honorable Elijah Muhammad with some old false pretenses, draft dodging and seditious, being seditious, all that type of stuff. But they locked him up for about 5 years to keep this truth from being circulated on the streets, especially while America was prosecuting a war. The arrest and incarceration of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the interrogation of him about these so-called UFOs, these wheels that they had encountered, this is actually the official beginning of the first real UFO investigation, the first real mass sighting, and the first official UFO cover-up. All of that has everything to do with Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, and it's on record.
Yes, sir. Now, we have, I think the first transatlantic flight I mentioned last week, the first time they crossed the water was in 1939. They hadn't even had a plane that could cross the water until that time, so certainly their concentration was on trying to get from one place to the other right here on Earth. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had taught about this for at least by that time 8 or 9 years himself. Then, with what you have just given us, we also invited what we call ufologists to one of our Savior's Day conventions. And they were able to give all of what they had with respect to what they had seen and the proofs that they had and what they had even from Glenn, and how Glenn, who was the astronaut who said he went to Egypt, heard the Adon and said he heard that sound on the moon, which is also the same Glenn who on the moon said they're sitting over there looking at us. Yeah. Now, if the Nation of Islam has been talking about this, and then when one of the whistleblower just recently in one of the subcommittee hearings on UFOs. He said, he was asked the question, well, how long have you all known about this? He gave the year, specifically 1930. Of course, we know that Master Fard Muhammad made himself known to us in July 1930. My question is, and I would like to hear the answer from you and from Brother Arvence. You can go however you want to go. They've also had earlier in the 80s and 90s, they had ufology conferences in Washington, D.C. And we have the two in the last 6 months. Why do you think that they have not invited at any time the people who told the world about it?
Thank you, Brother Sultan.
They scared brother Arvence gonna tell them the truth.
I mean, just as they don't want the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to teach nobody what they have, because they know that that kind of wisdom comes from the Supreme Being, who is Master Fard Muhammad, whom I praise and do forever. And they know that all of it represents the end of Satan and Satan's world. Now, a war between two sides, both sides want to survive, right? So it's a war, it's a battle. You're not going to just easily give in to the other side. So Satan's putting up his fight. They don't want people to know about this, because they don't want people to know that the government of the United States of America and other governments and their militaries are not the power over the people. Right now, the people of the planet, they really feel they're under their power, and they don't have no power. The people don't really know that, understand that right now. They really don't. So if they find out the truth of these wills, who they are, who the pilots are as human beings, who trained them, who taught them, where they come from, who Master Fard Muhammad is, whom I praise and do forever, who the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is, who the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is, who the Nation of Islam is. I mean, once people start learning the deeper knowledge and reality of this subject, they want to learn more. I remember the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told me, he said that when you hear the truth for the first time, you want to tell somebody. You want to learn more. And so people who hear this is not the normal thing you're going to hear on the news, not the normal thing you're going to hear all over your radio all day and night. Like they bombard us with the music, with the movies, with the entertainment, with the news on all of these news channels, worldwide news. They don't talk about this subject like this in this manner. And they certainly don't talk about the Nation of Islam, you know? So they want to try to keep the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam out of the news, out of the colleges, out of the schools. You know, they don't want them teaching nothing out of their mind and out of their mouth, because they know exactly who it comes from. They don't want that given to the people, because they know that'll speed up their destruction of their world and their power that they have over the people. So they have to have this subject and the reality and the truth of it. They have to have it. Now, will they be able to have it forever? No. It's coming out more and more and more. So there's a gradual destruction of Satan and Satan's world, and there's a gradual rising of the people on both sides. And that way, when the matter is decided, no one on the planet will ever be able to say to the Lord of the world that, you know, they didn't know the truth, they never heard it. No, you heard it. You just decided not to pay attention to it because you thought it was a lie, or you thought that's some religious stuff, or you thought that's some Muslims, they made up a God, they making up this stuff, and they got people believing it. Okay. Just as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, stay alive a little longer and watch and see what happens. Because we're closer to the end of all of this thing than I think any of us really realize. With the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan telling us at the farm not too long ago that his departure is dangerously close. Look up the word dangerously. I mean, the definition of that word, I looked it up. It's serious. It's nothing good. So I mean, in when he makes his departure, he said that death and destruction will come down. Allah is not going to waste no time. He's literally the only person on the planet holding back the complete wrath of God on everybody. Who can say that? He could have been left a long time ago. He's been ready to go. He said it a few times that he's ready to go. But he loved us so much. He's trying to do everything. He said he's trying to do everything in his power to save us so that we can overwhelm what is designed to overwhelm us. This is one man on the whole planet. How many people are on the planet? But how many people are him? None. How many people have his assignment? None. How many people are doing what he's doing? None. How many people want to think about doing what he's doing? None. You know, so when you hear other people calling him the new black Hitler, Hitler was never a messiah and savior of people, first of all. Second of all, Hitler killed people, many people. Who did the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan kill? Nobody. Who did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad kill? Nobody. Who did the Nation of Islam kill? Nobody. You can't call him the new black Hitler. So you can't call him a racist. A racist to who? Because he's teaching black people who they are by nature? He's a racist? So all of these, we, the Nation of Islam, we here to tell the truth against all of these lies. And we don't care who don't like it. Simple as that.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. And we're gonna let me brother Sultan, if I may, just real quick, because I don't want to go too far from what Brother Arvence said earlier regarding Allah showing at the forum his approval with the message that the minister gave to the Vanguard. If I may, real quick, because Brother Ilia shared a video that I wanted to play. Now, Brother Ilia, can you set this up for us? And then, Brother Sultan, your point, and then we have about 5 questions I lined up for us in the chat for the brothers. So, Brother Ilia, and then Brother Arvence also has more photographs, and we have a strong encouragement, and we'll let Brother Arvence announce that when he's ready as well. But go ahead, Brother Ilia, I want to show this.
When you say set it up, do you mean give some background information or literally set it up?
That's what I mean.
Okay. I was like, hold up, you expect me to do the technical part and share the screen and all that?
I got it in there. I thought my grandbaby was on the way, but she's not here yet. I got it in there, Brother Ilia. Go ahead. Let us know what we're about to watch.
Brother Arvence shared one of those major Nation of Islam sightings at that Vanguard retreat back in the day. And of course, my wife and my oldest daughter were blessed to be there then. And coincidentally, on the other Vanguard retreat that took place a year ago on September 17th, my daughter, as well as hundreds, perhaps over 1,000 other sisters, were at the farm with Minister Farrakhan in Michigan. And many sisters had posted on, as they were leaving the farm, I guess they were going back to their hotels, they were being followed by some of these baby planes. And my daughter, she had called me. This is on September 17th, 2022, and which is a holy day for us, because that is the anniversary of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan's More Than a Vision experience, where he literally boarded that wheel and spoke with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in what became an event that would change history ultimately. So that's a holy day for us. And it was on this holy day last year, September 17th, that my daughter called me and she was really excited. I think she was crying, and she was saying that she sees a baby plane. I said, well, go ahead and record this, baby. And so she got off the phone and she recorded it. And that's what you see, which is a really luminous, beautiful object of light that was trailing the sisters as they were leaving the farm of the Messiah.
Wow. And
it was funny because it's one of the better sightings of, in terms of the quality. It's still not just, 4K and all of that, but I've zoomed in on it because I saw it on my phone and I zoomed in on it, and it's so beautiful. It's so luminous. It's so majestic because it's really just giving, it's Allah and the
Wow.
scientists really just showing you that we are with you.
That's
And
right.
this is not just for my daughter, not just for me, not just for those sisters, even though they are in the covenant with Allah, but it is for our people to know that there is a real God with them. And that's why they are so hell-bent on covering this thing up. This is why they are so adamant about making sure the truth about these planes is not known.
Look at that.
Because if Black people, heck, if the American people, period, knew that there is a power
Yes, sir.
greater than the power of America and white world all put together, if they knew that there was a power greater than that, and that power is with us, man, we would change our psyche overnight.
Mm.
So this is why this topic is of utmost importance, or the truth of this topic is of utmost importance for Black people, especially because we have to know that we have a military might that's
Yes.
greater than the militaries of this world. This is God letting us know that we don't have to worry about the big stuff with nuclear weapons and all that type of arsenal that the enemy have, because Black folks ain't got nothing to compete with that. It's not on hand. This is why God has come to show and prove to you and the world that he can handle that, so we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to be fearful of if the enemy is going to drop some nuclear bomb on us. No, Allah already got that taken care of.
That's
All we have to do is do our little part. Shoot,
That's
just
right.
go
Yes,
after our
sir.
people.
That's
Clean up.
right. Yeah. Sister
And you
Naja,
know, I think
Sister Naja Sabira Muhammad, thank you for tuning in. She says he guided them all the way back. I didn't see it. We were on coach buses, so we missed it. We were like, what's everybody texting about? That was something else.
Sister Charlene, someone
Yes.
else put a comment in. Another sister put in the comment, Allah was protecting his girls.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
And my wife in the background was also saying that she too witnessed it.
Allahu
Praises due
Akbar.
to
Now,
Wow.
I want to add to that. And the questions are to help our people and to help us to be able to better defend this truth, which is such a great and powerful proof to our people. So I want to kind of fatten this question up again. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that the earth weighs 6 in tons, a unit followed by 20 ciphers. He said it has a diameter of 7,926 miles. It has a circumference of 24,896 miles. It says it had 14,000 square miles of hills and mountains, 1,910,000 square miles of islands. Then he says this: the Pacific Ocean covers 68,634,000 square miles. The Atlantic Ocean covers 41,321,000 square miles. The Indian Ocean covers 29,430,000 square miles. Now that's along with given the distance and sizes of all the planets. That's with saying that when the sun strikes the equators of all the planets, it calls each of them to rotate at 1,037 1/3 miles per hour, which is what creates their atmosphere. Each one has its own atmosphere. Now, I've heard over the years, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught hate. I'm hearing now his Messiah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is an anti-Semite. Of course, we are the original people. That language means nothing to us. We are the original. So that language means nothing. You either follow God's language or you will find yourself without an ability at some point to speak at all. My point: Now, the scriptures say that somebody comes weighing the waters in his hands. This has been taught for 93 years. Why hasn't the enemy dismissed us by saying, let me show y'all what they say he taught? Why haven't they denied it, fought it, brought it to the front? They, as you said, Brother Ilia, when they arrested him, they took everything. They had all that information. Why have they not brought that information before the world and said, let me show you how crazy they are? Why do you think they haven't brought that information before the world?
It's clear.
When they call on the ufologists and the others, they're fine. When we talk, it's funny. Please.
It's clear that the conversations about or with the Nation of Islam behind closed doors is vastly different from the public persona that is conveyed about the Nation of Islam. Behind closed doors, like when they arrested the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the early Muslims in both the 30s and the 40s, they got acquainted with our teachings. They got acquainted with these lessons, these actual facts, these calculations and measurements, geographical measurements, astronomical measurements and facts that are listed in the actual facts and in the core of our lessons and teachings. So behind closed doors, they take a scientific approach and they examine the veracity of what we have been given, and they look at it and are mind blown, like, oh, wow. They took the blackboard and the illustrations that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had drawn about the wheel, and they took the entire blackboard and other paperwork to the FBI office. So they are examining this teaching, and they are examining it with a more scientific approach. So it is from their observations of the wheels, these baby planes, as we call them, that has allowed their scientists to attempt to reverse engineer certain aspects of it as best as they can anyway. This is where their military, they have things like the stealth bombers and all this type of stuff. You know, it has admittedly been admitted by their scientists, John and Bill Lear, those over the famous Learjet, you know, some of your most decorated astronauts, your decorated airmen, your most decorated aviators have admitted that much of the science behind what they're attempting to do comes from their attempt to reverse engineer their observations of these wheels, the same wheels that the Nation of Islam introduced to the world. So behind closed doors, the wise people examine and understand and know the truth behind what the Nation of Islam is teaching. But it is also incumbent upon them as Satan to make sure that they keep the world deceived about the truth and the veracity of what the Nation of Islam teaches, because it is this truth that is the saving grace of the world. And that's why I heard Brother Arvence state that the destruction is literally being held back by one man, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. His very presence among us is a mercy and a grace for us and really the world. And it behooves us as intelligent people to really take heed to the message, to the warning, and the guidance that the voice of God is delivering for us, because he won't be before us too much longer. And I can tell you, based on what he has shared, what Brother Arvence has shared from him, and what others, it's not going to be good after he leaves. So we be wise to take heed to the wisdom while it's before us.
Yes, sir. It's bad already. Thank you all. We're going to get to the some of the audience questions. I have comments too, but I want to start their questions. And there's a photograph. I want to bring Brother Sultan and Brother Arvence back in. There's a photograph by Sister Sharita X out of the DC, Maryland area, and she wants to get your thoughts about it. And then also, Brother Sultan, I want to make sure you have finished your point, and then we have the first question there on the screen. So let's bring the brothers back, and then I want to show the photograph. Oh, here you go, Brother Ilia. Enjoy your water right there. Sorry about that. Here is the photograph, and let's bring Brother Ilia in. Sorry, bro, I didn't want to.
Oh, you good? You good?
So this photograph was sent in by Sister Sharita X, and she wanted to get your thoughts about it.
Yeah, that's Sister Sharita out of New York, I think.
DC, Maryland.
DC, is it? Okay. Yeah,
Well, Sharita, where are you from? Tell me again. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, because she has showed that to me, and you know, of course, just from being able to observe it from this vantage point, it looks clearly like some type of craft, right? And I'll tell you, as one who, you know, does research and is heavily involved with the study of the wheels and things like that, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not one of those brothers that think everything that he sees is the wheel. In fact, I'm just the opposite. I'm super skeptical. And, you know, people send me stuff all the time, and I'm like, but what that looks like right there, it displays some of the very beautiful colors that many of the wheels have been known to display. And it clearly seems to have some type of mass to it. Of course, I wasn't there to take it, but it looks like it could be something now.
Thank you. I'll remove that, and then Brother Sultan, did you finish your point before we go to the questions? Oh, I put something back. My bad. I apologize. There we go.
Oh, yeah. No, you know, and I would just say about that, just as Brother Ilia said, remember, if they will come behind and say that what was seen a few days ago was satellites, you know, 18 satellites going up behind each other, and that kind of silence. If they're taking the time, take reality to make an unreality, to bring doubt about the reality, they have to see it as a major point, or they wouldn't waste their time doing it. So as Brother Ilia said, everything you see is not. But there is so much that is.
Thank you. Sister Sharita said, originally from New York, now in Maryland. Sister Sharita, there's a date that was asked about the photograph. Let's go to some of these questions because we promised them a Q&A as well. Brother Lewis, Assalamu alaikum. Can you explain the leaflets that will be dropped, please?
Yes, so that's a good question. I have a copy of some old writings from the first. It's a copy of it, you know, the old typing paper and everything, called The Science of the Destruction. I don't know how many have heard of this, but it gives a lot of details of exactly what's going to be happening at certain times during that final stages of the destruction. And it talks specifically about these leaflets. And it also talks about the fire that will be raining from the skies. It's in the scripture, fire next time. In this Science of the Destruction, it talks about these leaflets. And I found it, so I'm gonna read it if I may. So the part where it talks about the leaflets, it says, during the flight of these small ships, it will also be engaged in the distribution or dropping of leaflets in 16 languages, which will state or say, hurry and join onto your own kind. The destruction of this world is now at hand. The messenger has been making this particular announcement here in the hells of North America every year that he has taught. The only difference in the wording is that he has not as yet announced the word destruction. For at the present time, he says, hurry and join unto your own kind. The time of the world is at hand. The cycle has not changed into the climax as of yet. When that occurs, he will say the word destruction and the word now. So that's just touching a part of the leaflet that will be dropped by these small ships, what people call UFOs, in 16 different languages. So no one will be able to say they didn't get a final warning. You can't say you picked up and you couldn't read the language. No, it's clear. It's giving you direct orders from the Lord of the world. This is your last chance, because God ain't gonna wait on you. Who are you? He can't wait on you. Satan gotta go. God's order is the order of not only the planet Earth, but the whole universe. So no matter how smart we think we are, no matter what our age is, you just got here. God has been here forever, no matter what name you call God by. So this is his warning right here. It's coming directly from him. And this is what Satan want to hide. He don't want you to know this. So in order for him to hide the reality of the wills and who they are and where they come from and who made them and what their purpose is, they have to hide everything within the life-giving teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, because they know that all of this is made to send them straight to destruction permanently and raise up the people who they've been enslaving for over 450 years, and raise up the rest of the planet who they've also been enslaving and killing and treating in the worst manner possible. So if you have a bank robber, the bank robber wants to be able to rob the bank and get away as many times as they don't want. They don't want you telling on them. They don't want you telling them where they stashing the money at, where they go to hide. They don't want you revealing who they are, right? So this is Satan. They don't want you to reveal who they are. That's why they tried to write the most honorable Elijah Muhammad out of history. And they trying to write the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan out of history. They tried to assassinate the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the hospital room while they were operating on him many years ago when he had his cancer situation, claiming that they were trying to save his life, but they tried to kill him on the operating table. Now, why is he still alive, though? Who's saving him? He's not a regular man. I'm telling you, you can't kill this one. You can't. But Satan and Satan's world, you're done. It's over.
I like how you did that, brother. I like that. It's over. I like that. It is. I want to show this because as we come to the next question, Brother Arvence wants to encourage us to get this book. I was embarrassed. I had never even heard about this book, Brother Arvence, as I told you. The Mother Plane. This is by the Honorable, let me hide the question real quick. This is by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes. So this book is a compilation of all of the articles that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote himself on this subject. The mother plane, the baby planes, who they are, where they come from, why they're here, all of that, what they're capable of. All of these articles he wrote in Muhammad Speaks newspaper when he was physically among us. All of the articles are in this book. This is a book by him. You see what I'm saying? His exact words. This is not by somebody else. This is the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I bought this book. I found it on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. I believe it's out of stock now at store.finalcall.com, but you can check. But it's available on Amazon. It doesn't cost a lot. I think it's like $8, something like that on Amazon. Buy the book. It's a very thin book, but the knowledge in that is bigger than any book could ever be inside. I'm telling you.
Yeah. What is the truth worth,
Yeah, I mean, buy this book. It's on Amazon. Buy the book, study it. I keep it close by. I bought the digital version on my phone. So, you can carry it everywhere, open it up on your phone and read it. Wow. I mean, it's a beautiful book. And also, I bought another book on Amazon. The last interview we did, I talked about this Black woman who shares her experiences with these angels, baby planes. She's a Christian, so she don't know who they are. She calls them her escort. But this book she wrote called From the Motherland to the Mothership. This book is on Amazon. Now, she's not a Muslim. She's a Christian. She never studied the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But she details her experiences all of the time that she said these men appeared in her bedroom told her to relax. And they taken her many places on these ships and showed her many things on many different planets. They showed her many ships in space. She said they took her to a big ship where a lot of people was on their way for somebody to speak. And she said she seen this real light-skinned man come on the stage, speak, and light kind of illuminated from him. And he spoke and kind of spoke in cryptic language. I mean, the stuff that she said in this book in detail, it confirmed a lot of things that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told me personally in his house that I know she don't know. So, I mean, it's just, I read this book twice, and this book is really, 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 really good. I suggest that you get this. It's on Amazon, From the Motherland to the Mothership. And I mean, this book is beautiful. A lot of believers have read this book, and they told me and confessed, they said, thank you for telling me to read it. They was like, I had to put the book down a while because it just confirmed too much that I had questions about that she confirmed. So, I mean, if you tell your testimony, you're going to confirm a lot of things that Allah is doing to a whole lot of people. Everybody ain't going to join the Nation of Islam, but everybody will have to obey Allah, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say something real silly. Look, Sister Sharita said that the date for that photograph, which you both commented on, is September 19, 2023. That was at 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
And so we have
another significant date, by the way. Another significant date. Of course, because on the 19th of September of 1985 was when that tremendous earthquake hit Mexico while Minister Farrakhan and Mother Khadijah were in Mexico. And it was that earthquake that kind of shook up something that made the minister recall what had taken place a couple of nights prior during his experience, and it all came right back to him. So that's a significant date. And the fact that you saw what looks like a wheel on that date may be very significant as well. And I don't think it's strange that just as there was an earthquake 2 days after the minister's experience on September 19th, that allowed him to recall and bring back to his memory what had happened during that experience, there were other earthquakes in Mexico that took place in 2017, I think, and 2022, last year on September 19th in Mexico. Yeah. I think Allah is trying to tell us something, and I think he wants to put his man, the minister, and that experience on our mind, because a reminder is a blessing for us.
You know, also in that same year, September 14th, 5 days earlier than the 19th, and only 3 days earlier than the experience, the minister spoke at that time to the largest audience on this journey of 19,000 at the forum, where a war in the sky broke out. And being poor Muslims and not having the money to advertise, the media made so much noise that they helped us pack the LA Forum with 19,000. And that was only beat by, at that time, October 7th, New York, Madison Square Gardens, where there were 35,000 inside of Madison Square Garden, which only held 25,000. There were at the forum where you could sit, which held 7,500, 12,000 were in there. But what got that off in New York, we're just talking about the power of God. With only about 3,000 people were in the forum, fire chiefs outside, commissioners, was telling the people, oh, we sold out. We sold out, it's already full. There's only about 3,000 people inside. Do you know what they did? They tore the doors down and forced their way in and filled both of those like that in something that had never been done before. But there are so many stories, so many histories of what has happened with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan around the world, because the greatest audience was not the Million Man March, where 2 million were brought into a city where every weekend 8 to 9 deaths among Black males. God added 2 million to the weekend. And the only death was a heart attack by a policeman at the Million Man March between Friday to the Wednesday. Added 2 million, and there were no deaths. So the 6 to 7 million people in Tehran, Iran. And the minister comes to the rostrum. All this has to do with what we're talking about. We'll see in just a minute. He comes to the rostrum. They're saying, Baba, America, Baba, Israel. 6 to 7 million. Death to America, death to Israel. And the minister's at the rostrum. And like he's getting ready to spank. He didn't get ready to spank, he spanked like little children. America is not your problem. Israel is not your problem. Your problem is your deviation from the prophet of God. It got quiet. Look. You had 6 to 7 million yelling. And all of a sudden it gets quiet as a mouse. I'm not exaggerating. And you say, oh man, are they going to attack the rostrum? And the people say, yeah, bearing witness to the truth. So people who have been hearing the Quran around the earth, praying around the earth, they would hear this man for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. And you would see them react in a way that you never see here, literally having to fight your way out. And I remember, I think it was in Turkey, and I think it's also in Qum. Now, you know, Mustafa, you getting up too close to the minister. I mean, it was like, get knocked out. Oh, knock me out again. To be touched by just somebody who's with him. Because they have read and seen the Quran. But when you meet him, you see the word of God. You see Quran. You see revelation. And that's what it is when we have been in the Bible also, because I was all up in the Bible. But we have to be so grateful because even Allah makes us believers. So we have so much to be grateful for. And sister, here's another question. Okay. If told to summarize all the most important information that you have gathered in your research and experiences, what would you say? What stands out to you most? That's to both of you.
I can be real quick and simple with that. There is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Father Muhammad. That's what all of this study leads to. You know, for me anyway.
Yes.
You know, we can look into where it was made, and that's a worthy study. We can look at how it was made, who made it, and what it's done and how the wheels have been, tormenting the military sites and shutting down nuclear weapons all over the world. I mean, that's powerful. But when you get to the root of it, at the highest part of this study is the fact of what the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said. He said it pretty much like this: everything about it says that God is present now in the world. That's what this leads to. That's the most important part for me, and as much research as we have done and continue to do along the lines of this topic. I don't care how much we try to do more research and whatever, it's going to lead to the same premise. Allah came in the person of Master Father Muhammad, and there is no God but this true and living God who is real, because he's given us proof of his presence. That's what it leads to for me.
And for myself, I second everything our brother Ilia Rashad said. And I would definitely add to that with my experiences at the farm with these ships and these angels coming to the home of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and many times to give him direct messages. And it's been happening through me, is what the minister told me. I bear witness, all of this shows and proves to me that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad escaped the death flight. He's still physically alive. All this shows and proves to me that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan actually was taken by one of these baby ships in 1985 to the mothership. So here, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's words of instruction on the sitting president in 1985. How can you do that if you so-called died 10 years prior? You see what I'm saying?
Come on now.
True.
It don't make sense.
See? So all of this proves to me as well that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is getting ready to escape another death flight right now and go back and come back again with it. See, all of this, it all adds up. You can't fake anything. You can just believe it all you want. It doesn't take away the power and the knowledge of what God said he's going to do. So belief and disbelief, that's on you. That's on you. You got to make the right decision today. That's on you. So, I mean, I've seen so many things the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has done. I've seen so many miracles he has worked. I've seen so many miracles Allah has worked through the minister. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about, for example, he mentioned years ago how he had this heart attack many, many years ago, right? And he was sent to the hospital. I was one of those who drove him to the hospital, that was with him, taking him to the hospital. So I was along with a few of us inside of this whole thing that was happening, what Allah allowed to happen to him. No damage to his heart. So many days later, he's released from the hospital. We take him back home. He's outside walking around strong like none of this never happened. And I'm looking at him. I told the brother, I said, you see the minister? He's right in front of us outside walking around like none of this never happened. No damage to his heart. And people who have heart attacks, you're not about to go outside and walk around with all this strength like nothing never happened. And you're really strong. You're not faking it. It's like it never happened. So Allah is showing us that he's in control of anything that ever happens with him. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said nothing around him is a coincidence. You know what happened with Hurricane Katrina? I was at the farm when the brother from Florida visited the farm and asked the minister, can he pray to turn the hurricane away from Florida? And if it hit anyway, can he pray that his family and the believers all down there be okay? The minister said, brother, I'm going to pray to turn the hurricane away from Florida. He said, but if Allah happens to allow it to hit anyway, he said, you and your family and all the believers, y'all all going to be all right. So the brother was dismissed. I go to sleep that night, wake up the next morning, everyone's crowded around the TV in the living room. I said, what happened? I thought there was probably some shooting, at some building, somebody lost their mind or something. But the brother said, look, the meteorologist was on CNN and he was pointing at the screen that they used. He said, we don't know why this has happened. This never happened before. He said, but the hurricane is turning at the last minute away from Florida and it's headed straight to New Orleans. And I lost my mind. I was like, yo, the minister just said he was going to do that. So, I mean, I've seen, and many of us on the East team and many others have seen the minister do things can't nobody else do. And the minister has also been telling the world the power that he has and the power that backs him and why you can't kill him. You can't do it because God said you can't. And if you read scripture, God and Satan had a conversation, and Satan threatened to kill God's man. And God said, you can do whatever you want to him. I'm going to remove the hedge of protection from him, but you can't kill him. And he's tried. Satan has tried plenty of times and still trying to this day. They will always be unsuccessful because Allah said you can't kill him because he's not going to allow you to. He's not going to allow nobody to take his name. See, so I've seen too much in person, along with studying the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, being with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in close proximity, being taught by him, listening to him, going to Savior's Days, reading the books, reading the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And this divine man is in front of us, and he's doing things that the scripture said that a man that'll be in your midst at a certain time would do. Can't nobody else fake that. Nobody. You can't. You can try. You can't. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said nobody else can offer what he offers you because it was given from God to him. That's why it don't exist in no school. You can't go to no school and get a PhD in the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You can't. It's not there. They don't have it. It's being offered to them, but they're not going to offer it to you. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught you for free. These schools charge you how much money to teach you whatever they teach you, but the knowledge is good. You want to learn something, but they can't teach you what you need to know in order to survive the destruction that God's going to send down so that you can be admitted into the hereafter. They can't teach you that. So to summarize everything, that's what I've been shown. And I thank Allah and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for using me and allowing me to even be a wheel watcher. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan telling me I'm the official Nation of Islam wheel watcher. I mean, stuff like this, man, it's a lot. And I don't feel the heaviness of it, but I just feel like I'm a child enjoying having fun with all of this. I just love seeing the angels on the wheels. I love seeing the believers, the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I love studying the life-giving teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad because I know what it did for me and all of us. I was supposed to have been dead in grammar school. People don't know this. Twice I almost got killed. And then I almost happened again in high school. So I know who saved Arvence life. You know, so that's what all of this sums up to me. You can't make it up. And that's where your strength comes from. That's where your strength comes from. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, how strong is your faith? Yours. Can you survive what's coming? See, he said the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad posed that question for a reason. How strong is your faith? How strong are you convicted that God really did come in person, the Master Prophet Muhammad? How strong are you convicted that he is the best knower? How strong are you convicted that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his exalted Jesus Christ, the Jesus that the world has been looking for, but you missed him because you thought he was a black man? How strong are you convicted that he still is physically alive, the way the scriptures say Jesus will be risen from the dead? How strongly are you convicted that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been taught by both of these men and being guided by both of these men, and that is the wisdom that come out of his mouth to save all of our lives? How strong are you convicted that he'll lead to the will and come back with his new wisdom? Do you believe in all of this? Where's your faith at? How strong is that foundation? Now, if you look at a skyscraper, if the foundation is weak, then the next earthquake or bad windstorm or rain, flood that comes, you know, the building to crumble. You don't want to crumble at the last minute. You want to stand and be firm. You want to make it. You want to survive. Think of all the things you've been through in your whole life. You survived good and bad times. Don't give up now. Study and pray to your Lord of the world, who is Allah, and let him guide you. So this, I know that was a lot, but that's what sums up for me. I mean, I'm excited, and Allah has been strengthening my faith over the years just by being used like this. And I have the spirit, you can't tell me nothing if it's not what Allah and his messenger said. I don't want to hear it. I mean, we all have to have dialogue. We can have dialogue and talk, but outright dismissal of what God said. So all of a sudden, you smarter than him. Is that what you're saying? So I mean, we're in the Nation of Islam. We will continue to spread the truth. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, you want to learn, we're here to help. And Allah will save all of us as long as we desire to be saved.
Or as Brother Arvence said earlier, Brother Arvence, there's a question there, and I'll bring Brother Ilia and Brother Sultan back in, but we're going to keep running with some of the questions from the chat, from the viewing audience. How big is a baby plane? And we have your images. We have your images too. I'm going to put them up so we don't lose them. But go ahead, brothers.
This is a drawing I made. This rectangular light came on one night at the farm at a low altitude. I'm not talking about 10,000 feet in the sky. I'm talking about like 3,000 feet in the sky or lower. It appeared over the minister's home and flew real slow like this. And I froze at first because I'm like, oh my God, it was just amazing. The minister's driver was standing behind me and I snapped out of it and tapped him. I said, look. He came and looked through the door and he saw it. It went right over the minister's house and right over the trees and left. So the triangle, it was a red light. It's just a red triangle. And the red light around the triangle was a brighter red light that they made surrounding it. And at the back of the triangle, it came to like a light tail. So I don't know the exact size of it because it was in the sky. But when I was a child, when I was 5 years old, I seen one in broad daylight, came down like 20 stories. That one, it wasn't super duper big. It was maybe like the size of the 18-wheeler trailer, you know, like an 18-wheeler trailer. It was maybe like that size. So that's what I can recall the size of a baby plane. I do not believe that all of them are the exact same size because I mean, they can easily make different sizes. And this is another drawing that I made. One night I was on post at the farm and I always watch the skies, right? Because I love watching it and reporting to the minister what happens when he's there or when he's not there. So one night I'm outside walking around, looking at the skies, nothing's happening all night, literally, just stars out. Nothing's moving, nothing's appearing, nothing's shooting off, nothing. Then all of a sudden, I look up and this formation just appeared right over the minister's home, right on top of his home, maybe like 10,000 feet in the sky. It just sat there. So this rectangular light was a white light, rectangular, with two balls of light underneath it. I don't know if that was one baby plane showing different lights. They can do that. I don't know if it was three different ones. I thought it was three different ones just sitting in a formation. But they sat there right over the minister's home. And I knew who they were. So I stood at attention. I saluted them. I ran inside the house to grab my phone so I could take a picture of something. When I came back out, the baby plane started moving a little bit away from the minister's home. And when I pulled my phone up, the thing just disappeared. They wouldn't let me take a picture of it. And so I was like, praise be to Allah. I told the minister the next day, and he thanked me. And then he told me that they go to me first when they want to talk to him. And I was like, wow. So I didn't know that was happening. I know that I see him, I know what I'm looking at. I know I get excited, and I know I always receive the energy from them. Hurry up and tell the minister, hurry up and tell the minister. That's what I always receive. I have to do it. So the minister told me to give him a weekly report, and I've been doing it by Allah's grace. And they're coming for a reason. This is not entertainment. This is not, hey, look at us, we're here. This is not no showing off stuff. Something's getting ready to happen. And if we don't pay attention to what's getting ready to happen, we're going to lose out on our salvation. God ain't going to wait on you. You don't have to wait on you. He's in charge, not you. You don't give him orders. He gives you orders. So if you're going to do what he's saying, his messenger says, you out of here. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, God will kill you. He said he is no respecter of persons. He said he kills men, women, and children. Play with him if you want. Read the Bible and see all the people he killed that thought he was joking. Read the Quran. All the people that thought he was joking thousands of years ago. You think you're gonna change things now? You think you figured out this loophole in life that they ain't figured out? There ain't no loophole. The only loophole is obedience. So take it or let it alone. That's all
Wow.
this loophole said.
Wow.
That's real. That's real there.
Thank you, Brother Arvence. Do you have any understanding of what the red light means? Sister Sharita X wants to know.
I've seen plenty of red lights at the farm. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked about when he seen a red light, it meant stop or danger. And I remember something that happened, I think it was last year or year before. I think it was last summer. I was up at night and this thick fog came over the farm. It was a weird feeling inside of the fog. It was really, really thick. I could barely see 15 feet in front of me. I looked at the minister's house. I couldn't see his house at all no more. So something felt bad. Something felt really bad. I felt it. I walked to the minister's house just to check things out. The minister's house was sitting inside of this perfectly clear circle in the fog. And I was wondering, like, how is this happening? So I stood on the porch. I was going to ring the doorbell and let the minister know. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. It's late at night. I'm going to wait till see whatever happens. And then in the morning, I'll report to him. So I stood on the minister's porch and I looked up in this clear circle at night. And this white ball of light flashes on in the sky in the circle, inside the clear circle. Flashes on, go off. Flashes on, go off. I said, man, I just see that. And then it came on again. Boom, boom. I was like, oh, that's a baby plane. I saw it. So I was like, oh my God. So I'm just standing on the minister's porch waiting to see what's going to happen next. All of a sudden, the light comes back on. It moves over the fog away from the clear circle, and then it goes out again. Then the fog starts moving back from the direction that it came from. And it left the farm. And then the baby plane came on again, and it was red this time. Flash twice. Boom, boom. And that was it. And at that time, there were some serious things going on concerning the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and other things that I can't speak about. But I said to myself, this is a warning that they're giving the minister about what's happening. And I got to tell him in the morning. So as soon as I told him in the morning, I told him the Supreme Captain was right there. And the minister said, you seen how many times the light flashed? I told him how many. He said, what color were they? I told him what color they were. He looked at me, he said, He said, okay. And he went in the house. He knew whatever message they were giving him, he got it. Because he understood what I was saying. I don't know what the message was exactly, but he did. The way he responded, he knew what they were telling him. And he did things, I can't say, but he did things that moved according to the warning that they gave. So red is warning.
Wow.
It could be danger. Now, they can show any color they want. You know, if they're not trying to tell you something dangerous or a warning, they can show red anyway. That's what they want to do. So,
wow. We have another question. Sister Angenturia says she's read the book From the Motherland to the Mothership suggested by you, Brother Arvence. Her experiences parallel with the sister who wrote the book. I would like to know why, when I was taken, my physical body was left behind. Is this because of the atmosphere where the mother plane, dwells?
I mean, they can do whatever they want to you. I mean, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was taken. And what people don't know, many, many, many years ago, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talked to a few of us in a small circle. He talked about how when he was on the operating table one time, he said he was out. You know, you're on the operating table, they have you unconscious. So he said that he came out of his body and seen the doctors, what they were doing, and he heard their conversation. And he said he saw what they were doing, he was watching them, and he was listening to them talk. And he said that they were making fun of him while they were operating on his body. And I said, man, and he said when he came out of there after the surgery was over, he said he told the doctor what they said. And the doctor was shocked. He said, you didn't hear that. How did you hear that? You didn't hear that. How did you can't make this up. If I'm unconscious, I'm not supposed to be able to tell you what you said and what you did, what you were saying while you're doing this and doing that. So if Allah allowed your essence that He gave you, which is Him, to be taken out of your physical body, which is only a shell, because we're not spirits walking around here, right? It's only a shell. So if you're allowed to go out in what's called astral travel, that's real. I've done it. I didn't even know I was doing it. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan had to tell me it wasn't a dream. He told me that about two things that I explained to him when I seen Father Muhammad, to whom my praise do forever, and the other time when I seen the angels come and take him away from us. He said those wasn't dreams.
Wow.
But I know while it was happening, it felt real. It was real. They were right there. So Allah can do whatever He wants. And Allah says in the Quran how He takes men's souls at night and He give it back when He decides to. So that's what happened to you. You can't dismiss it. You got to ask Allah for more clarity and understanding of why He did that to you, why He allowed that to happen to you, what He's trying to show you, what He wants you to do. He'll give you the answer. Mother Tanetta said if you ask the question and want to go further, it'll happen.
Thank you. We have another question there. Bryce Muhammad, have you ever seen any of the people on the wheels? If so, can you describe them and their mannerisms and interactions? This is for everybody here.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had answered that in the Theology of Time lecture series. He said, he spoke of those scientists, those angels. He said they look just like you and me.
Right.
He even said they could be in this room and you wouldn't even know it. You know, they look just like you and me. So we don't have to get spooky and think that these angels or scientists look like the way that they are depicted in Hollywood. You know, those Cupid looking angels with wings and, you know, no, they're some human beings. Look,
they show that great intelligence. I think he said that they're trained between 4 and 7 years old. Those that fly.
Look, you probably passed by a few of them on your way to the house today. We don't know, you know, but they differ only, for the most part, they really only differ in their intelligence and in their abilities because they have been taught since such a young age and they have access to certain mental capabilities that we just have not tapped into yet. What Brother Arvence was just sharing, you know, this is real. And when we get to be on that level of where the scientists or the angels are, then we can do it intentionally. Right now, it sometimes may happen to people, but it happens unintentionally. You know, that just lets us know that we do have the capacity. It's in us. We just have to clean up and get to a point where we not only study, but discipline ourselves in the way of Allah to the point where we can grow into our Godship. And it's not magic. It's literally science. It's just a science that is not going to be shared at any conventional institution, Harvard or Yale or none of that. Now, this comes from the wisdom of Allah. The good thing is that we do have that capacity and potential to grow into that type of wisdom and power.
And maybe that's why the Quran says, if you had been angels, I would have sent you an angel. So we, an angel, may not have the same demeanor with us or patience with us as one who comes from among us.
Thank you. There's a clarification request here from Cheryl X. Harris. She says, I was taught that Master Father Muhammad did not come to kill us. We kill ourselves. Please clarify your previous statement, Brother Arvence.
Yes. So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan did say that the Savior came to correct our behavior. He didn't come to kill us. That he came, he's our Savior. He knows that we've been being killed by our 400-year-old enemy for centuries, right? He didn't come to do what they did to us. He came to save us from them and give us a better way of life. But he has to correct our behavior first so that we can be worthy of what he want to give us and what he want to take. You can't go into the hereafter as a sinner. You can't go into the hereafter as a 100% complete disobedient human being, made after Satan and Satan's way of life. You can't. But there's Master Father Muhammad, to whom our praise will do forever. He is the Lord of the world, the supreme being. So the wrath of God is always present. So you're either going to do what he say or not. And all of us bear witness when we were children, our parents, you do what your parents say or not, you get a whooping or not. So just think about that on God's level. You ain't gonna get no strap or a pedal on your backside. That's death. And were killed in the past because of disobedience. How many warnings did they get?
That's right.
So everyone stay faith. I mean, the Lord of the world will and can kill you. He doesn't come at first to do that. We are doing that to ourselves. And he don't like that. And Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave a warning to Black people in particular when he said that the way that we're killing ourselves, God gonna give us our own blood to drink and send fiery serpents to us, which represent angry white people to kill us. That's a part of chastisement. You're not listening to him. So since you want that life here, you can have it. Have all of it in abundance. So, I mean, that includes a lot of death. So it's not impossible for Allah to kill whoever he desires to kill, but he's a God of righteousness. He's not a God of evil and chaos. So Satan is that God of evil and chaos. Satan is the one who initiates the killing the this and that.
That's right.
With saving grace in it. That's not in Satan's nature to save you. It's in his nature to kill you. So Master Father Muhammad, to whom our praise will do forever, he is the exact opposite. He comes to save you. And if you listen to him, you'll be all right. You listen to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, you will be all right. If not, then eventually something else is about to happen.
And that's our own hands have wrought. Here's a question. And you know what? Look, we're 2 minutes of time. So after Sister Donna's question, let's go to closing remarks so that we don't do as I did the last week, go way, way, way over. I heard Brother Arvence on another podcast of his experience with the beautiful Black male pilots. Can you share that?
Yes. So I shared that experience with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I thought it was a dream. I told him I had a dream, and he told me it wasn't a dream. So what happened was I was standing outside with the rest of the FOI from Chicago. We were securing this house that was like in the middle of, it was just grass everywhere, no other houses, just this big, huge mansion with these stairs that go all the way up to the front door, right? We don't know who's in the house. We don't know who the minister's coming to meet with. For some reason, we're not allowed to know that. But we're outside securing the area. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the E-team pull up. The minister goes in. The minister's in there for hours and hours meeting with whoever he's meeting with about whatever, we don't know. All of a sudden, these baby planes come flying by, 3 of them across the house. And we outside, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And all of a sudden, they landed right in front of us, perfectly spaced out one by one. They landed at maybe about 2 feet off of the ground, off of the grass. The front, the shape of these baby planes was like an egg shape, like how you stand up an egg, it was like an egg shape. The color of the metal was like a dark, matte, black color. It wasn't a shiny color, it was like a matte black color, but it was some type of metal was the material. I didn't touch it, but that's the way it looked. So the front of these baby planes opened up the stairs that touched the grass. One tall Black man got out of each one. They all had the same uniform on. They had these short Nehru collars on, the uniforms, long sleeves, the uniforms and pants and the shoes was all one piece. It was all one piece. The color of these uniforms they had on was like a dark matte gray color. It looked like leather, but it wasn't leather. It was some type of material else that they had that we don't have, but it looked like leather. That's what it looked like to me. I thought it was leather, but it wasn't leather. Once they came close to us, it wasn't leather. It had some kind of lines and markings all over it that I'd never seen before. And they were tall, maybe like 6'6" in height. All of them had short haircuts, bald fades. Their fingernails were clean and cut sharp, their hands were clean. their faces were really clean and shiny. And they all gave us cheek to cheek and said, Assalamu alaikum. I felt his hand in my hand. Like how we give each other cheek to cheek today. I felt his face touch my face. I felt it. I felt it. His face was so soft. I never felt skin like that. His hands were like really soft. I never felt skin like that. They were like pure. I never felt skin like that. So the one that was in charge, he asked me, I mean, the look in their eyes were really white and their teeth were really, really white. And they were slim, but they were muscular. Their demeanor was serious. They didn't do no smiling. You know, they wasn't mean mugging us, but they came to handle business. And you can tell somebody higher than them sent them. They came for a specific reason. And we felt that and we seen it, so we all froze. So the one in charge asked me, he said, where's the minister? I was froze. I couldn't even say nothing. I just pointed at the house like that. He looked at the house. He looked at me. And then him and other two angels, they walked to the house where the motorcade is at, sitting in front of the house, waiting on the minister to come out. So the drivers in the motorcade, the security at the house, on the outside of the house, they see them coming. They see it. So they didn't move. They didn't say nothing to them. They didn't move a muscle. And that's something you don't do. You're not going to approach the minister's motorcade if we don't know you. It's going to be an engagement. But you see these people come, you already know what it is. So they stood for hours and hours and hours outside the door of this house, waiting for the minister to get done with his meeting. They didn't disturb it. They just stood there waiting. All of them stood like this, like they're on post. Straight up in a straight line, stood right here. The one in charge stood in front of the minister's door, or the car door that he was supposed to get in front of. And when the minister came out of the house, they walked him down the stairs. The E-team walked him down the stairs. Before they were getting ready to open the car and let the minister in his car so they could leave, the one in charge, he stepped in front of the car door like this. He didn't let the minister get in the car. He said, brother minister, are you ready? The minister looked at him. He looked at the other two angels. He looked at the baby planes parked in the grass. And he already knew they coming to take it. He already knew it. He did like this to grab his suit. He said, yes, I'm ready. And then the angel in charge gently grabbed his right arm up top. The other angel gently grabbed the other left arm up top. And the third angel stood behind them, and they gently escorted the minister. They took the minister away from the E-team. They escorted the minister to the baby plane of the angel that was in charge. The minister went in his baby plane. The other two angels went in their baby plane. They all took off just like that, real fast, and that was it. I explained that to the minister. He said, that wasn't a dream. And then he said, I want you to be the one to see me leave. And he said, whoever's going to be the one to see me leave, he said, that's going to be a famous person because the whole world's going to have a lot of questions for you. And I was like, yes, sir. So I'm not the person, I don't care about fame and the big name. Man, I love being in the background and do work that matters. You know, that's the type of person I am. So for him to tell me I'm going to have to deal with the world, I'm like, man, this is really happening. So I thought it was a dream, but when you got somebody that the Lord of the world speak to and don't lie, tell you what it was, I had to come to the conclusion. I had to, I know he's not lying. He's the one who guides all of us for how many years? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad guided all of us for how many years? So they're not liars. They're here to tell us what's going on. And it's our job to listen to them and hear and obey so that we can fall on the right side of all of this. So, the minister said there wasn't a leak. So,
wow. Brother, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to turn over the platform. Let's go to Brother Ilia for your closing remarks, and Brother Sultan, and then Brother Arvence, if you want to add anything. You all, can we come back? We didn't even scratch the surface of what was in the chat, honestly.
Look, I never get tired of hearing those experiences, especially from Brother Arvence. Now I hear people, different sightings and stuff from different people, but every time that I hear brothers' experiences, a lot of time it gives me chills, in a good way, because again, it's just a constant reminder that we have the mightiest God, Master Father Muhammad, on our side. And I don't think there's any real closing remarks that we can have other than to, just remind us and the audience of that premise that we are blessed, we truly are favored, and Allah is putting us in a position to be the vanguard of a new world. And we are living, as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said to us before, we are living in the time of God. And therefore, we should think, act, walk, and move accordingly. And thank you for sharing that. That is our book, the book that has literally changed the game of so-called UFO research and disclosure. This is our book, UFOs and the Nation of Islam. If you have not been able to obtain it yet, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Our book and those resources can be found at nationbrothers.com. Nationbrothers.com is our website, and you can also access our documentary, Answered, in the next coming weeks. I guess I'll close with this. In the coming weeks, we should be ready to release part 2 of the documentary series Answered, where this one will deal primarily with the coming of God. So when we're dealing with the UFO topic, dealing with the wheel, the baby planes, all of it centers around this premise that Allah came. So we want to focus on that very important premise, the coming of God. And of course, there are going to be more episodes after that. And you can expect to see our brother Arvence in some of those too. So just stay tuned and stay connected. And thanks again for having us. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Brother Sultan.
I have to say that, my joy, of course, is the conviction of the two of you. And the great conviction, of Brother Arvence when he talks about it. And you can feel him. And as you said, Brother Ilia, sometimes you get chills.
Yeah, that's
literally
right.
get chills. So we have to come to know each other. And what I hope with a program like this is not only that we can strengthen the believers, but that we can make sense to those who have been lied to for so long to keep them away from this truth.
That's right.
So I pray that Allah has blessed us. To those who may not have had a question or who may have been there, we don't know that you're there. And if you are, you just keep coming back. And then you ask some questions, because the questions you ask are questions that others have. And the answers you get will not only be answers for you, but it will be answers for them.
That's right.
And I thank all of you for allowing me to be a part of this greatness. And I want to say, finally, I got to say it, Sister Charlene.
Oh, yeah, sure.
These, look, when you have truth and you bear witness to the truth the way that you have, you are the scholars of the new world. There is no teaching that equals this or that can defeat this, but this defeats all of the ignorance that's being presented as science. Including when they say they thought that Pluto was only 1,400 miles. If it's 4.4 billion miles away, you wouldn't be able to see it. But anyway,
teach.
We want to continue to prove and to show and to raise our people with our wonderful guests and scholars of the new world. May Allah continue to bless us all.
That's right. Oh, praise is due to Allah. I love that. Brother Arvence, would you like to add anything?
Yes, thank you for having me. This is a blessing. When I heard Brother Ilia Rashad was going to go, I lit up like, wow. We were trying to connect along. We will. And Brother Ilia Rashad, I have special video footage of the wheel on my camcorder arriving to the farm that I want to give to you for your documentary interview for the documentary. I'm going to take
Allahu Akbar. Get that man some security.
Oh boy.
That's right.
Exactly.
All praises due to Allah.
The original footage is over 30 minutes long, so however you want to chop it up, or if you want to play the whole thing.
What a blessing.
So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Look, Sister Charlene,
Yeah.
we always try to meet up, and if apparently we just going to have to schedule some time if I have to fly up there, because we're always trying to meet up when we have these events and things like that. And so I'm calling him like, what you think?
Work.
What about at 5 o'clock? What about it? But Allah is the best knower.
It doesn't happen. Brother Sultan made it happen here on Liberated Sisters on the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network. We have so much engagement. What I want to do is once we're going to sign off, but with the closing theme music, I'm going to run some of the comments so that you all can see it there. And inshallah, we can come back and do a part 3. But this is a part 2 with you two together. We'll get to some of those questions first. So that's it. That's our show for today. Stay tuned. Stay right there. We're going to also put in the scroll as we go out information on where you can get what our brothers have shared. And also we'll re-show some of the pictures that Brother Arvence, you can draw too. And maybe we can get Brother Arvence's song that he did and play it. I heard it on Sister Yavanka's show. Sister 19,
watch out now.
That's right. So both
And
of
he
them
can sing, y'all.
are musical. That's right. See,
He can sing, y'all.
Wow. So we thank you for tuning in today. That's our show. Again, just stay right there. We're going to exit studio. But I'm Sister Charlene Muhammad. Look, we're recruiting. Liberated Sisters is recruiting. You see me with all the brothers. I'm not trying to be all in the brothers' faces like that. So we need sisters to come on and help produce, co-host, right? Whatever, just email me at liberatedSisters@gmail.com. But if it's impacting our community or can uplift us as a people, let's do something about it. Peace.
That's right.
Peace.
I was told to deliver this message. You think you're invincible because you got money, bombs, guns, and planes, killing babies, innocent people. I think you're insane. Chaos and destruction is the name of your game. Somebody's got to stop you before the whole world goes up in flames. So he told me to tell you, I'll
fight for my brothers. We could go to war. Fighting for my father, I will give my life for. I feel so alone in this white man's world. Whip it in the kitchen, watch that white turn pearl. Standing on the corner, standing on my phone. Standing with my gangsters, but I'm standing on my own. If you let me alone, split you like you need alone. Sacrifice my life, understanding each his own. Toast to the keys of success. Bel Air rose on my breath. I've been a student since 03. And we can fight till we see peace.
I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Let me holler at you for a minute, give you game. Real scrappy, love the bottom, Buddha bang. Trigger happy, and everybody in the game. You shot your family and didn't even know it, man. Same rules, same code, with a different slang. Struck him out, and now they took him out the picture frame. Mama, don't cry, we gon' get by. 2 weeks later, got killed in a drive-by. Why must we fight amongst each other? Reach one, each one, teach one, my brother. I teach them how to fight on the grass and in the class. Snoop Dogg, all stars, yes sir, they coming fast. D1, football, we won. Now proud of my son, Lil Snoop, yes sir, cause he won. Right on, SC, fight on. We 100, keep it coming, dip, slip, slide on, light on. I fight like that, I fight like that, I fight like that, I fight like that, I fight like that. 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 I fight like that.
Watching the warriors, the story of the rebels. You from the ghetto, then you know never to settle. I'm shooting common on the streets, I'm a pharaoh. Battling in African-American apparel. This on a t-shirt, youngins doing street work. Grinding till they teeth hurt, that's because they need work. Working till the feet hurt, trying to get my soul right. Used to be on old bikes, serving them that cold white. Wars in the winters, the block is hot in summers. Today's mathematics, we know it's strength in numbers. To the bosses and the runners, the hustlers and the stunners. We fight for the hundreds, we fight for the oneness.
He fights with the heat. He fights with the sleet. He said, I am who I am. I can't be beat. Nobody has won a war against me.